Welcome to this introduction to EndNote. You might already know about EndNote as a tool for creating citations, but did you know that it can also work as a great personal research assistant? It can help you keep tabs on the articles you've read and the ones you're saving for later. It can hold on to all of those bibliographic details and even store your PDFs. It allows you to make notes directly on your PDFs. It can switch up the citation styles with just a few clicks, work on papers with your colleagues without all of the back and forth of emails. And the best part, if you register for a free online account, your research will be available to you anywhere from any device, as long as you have access to the internet. So while EndNote handles citations like a pro, it's also there to make your entire research process a breeze. So let's get started and see how it works. We're going to start from scratch by setting up our very own EndNote library. Think of it as your digital bookshelf for all of your articles and references. We'll talk about some ways to add references to your library, whether from article PDFs that you already have or by creating references from scratch. Next, we'll talk about how to put those into Microsoft Word using Cite While You Write. It's like magic. With just a couple of clicks, your references pop into your paper, formatted and ready to use. But even the best tools have some quirks, right? So we're also going to talk about some of the common EndNote hiccups and how to sidestep them. And I'll also share some tips of things to keep an eye out for so that your EndNote experience is smooth as a well-oiled machine. So grab your coffee and let's get this EndNote adventure started. First, let's take a look at the EndNote desktop layout. You'll notice at the top of your screen or window, there's this handy menu bar. This is your command center where you can find everything that you'll need. Not sure how to do something? Just give this menu a quick scan. Are you using a Mac? When you first fire up EndNote, sometimes all you see is this menu bar floating at the very top of the screen. If you're trying to figure out where everything else is, don't worry, you're in the right place. You just need to use that file menu to get going. So let's take a look at how EndNote is set up. You'll notice that the EndNote window is split into three main areas. On the left-hand side, you've got your groups. These are like little folders or bins to organize all of your research records. EndNote is pretty smart. It's going to create some of these groups automatically to keep things tidy as you're working. But you're the boss. You can also use this My Groups section to create your own custom groups to organize your files just the way you like. Now, this middle panel, this is where all the action is going to be happening. It's like the display window where you can click on the group and all of the records in that group will show up. It's where you can browse through your collection and see what you have. And don't miss the search box at the top of this middle panel. Whether you want to do a quick search using Simple Search or go deep with the advanced search, this box is your go-to for digging through the records in a selected group. Here's a pro tip. That search box sticks to the group you've selected. It's not going to be searching any other groups. So if you're not finding what you're looking for, double check that you're looking in the right group. Okay, so let's swing our focus over to the right panel. This is where the details of your references live. First, you have this summary tab. This is where you can get the quick scoop on your selected reference. It's like the highlight reel of your research article. It shows you what attachments you might have, any details that are key like the authors, the title, the journal information, or the citation preview. You can pick the citation style from this drop-down menu. And if you want to see what your reference looks like in a different style, maybe APA 7th or American Medical Association, just select it and there it is. The Edit tab. So this is where you go if you need to tweak something. This tab is where you can see every single field available for that reference type, and you can edit anything that you want. All of this is available to you. Nothing will be locked. Plus, there's a generous space for your notes in this Research Notes field. Up to 20,000 characters, so go ahead, write down all of those brilliant thoughts you have about this article. You'll also be able to use this to find them again with a quick search. Lastly, we have the PDF tab. This is where your PDFs hang out. If you have an article attached, you click here and you can pop it open in the PDF reader. This is where you can highlight, add notes, or make markups to your heart's content. And the great thing about them, they're also searchable later. So you ready to set up your EndNote library? Now that you have the layout, let's open up a new library. When you first open up EndNote, you'll see two options. One to open an existing library and the other to create a brand new one. We're going to start fresh with a brand new library today. Here's the easiest way to do it, whether you have a PC or a Mac. Click on the File menu at the top and choose New. By default, EndNote is going to name your library My EndNote Library, and it will put it in your Documents folder. Feel free to give it any name that sparks joy for you. But here's a heads up, make sure you keep the library on your device and not in the cloud. Why? Because cloud storage can be a bumpy road for your EndNote file. It could cause corruption, especially if you're sharing access to the same library. Don't worry though, I'm going to be covering a smarter way to share your library without any drama coming up soon. So you've hit save, and now you are the proud owner of a brand spanking new EndNote library. But it's probably looking a little spacious, right? Let's fix that by adding your research references. I'm going to walk through 3 ways to do this, from using PDFs you've got on hand, exporting records from literature databases, and also crafting references from scratch. So let's start with PDFs since they're the easiest. First, you're going to head to the File menu and click on Import. Then you're going to choose File if you just have a single PDF, or Folder to bring in a whole group. Find where your PDF is living on your computer and select them, and then hit Import and watch the magic happen. For most files, EndNote works like a smart assistant. It will figure out the references and fill in all of the details for you. So if all goes well, you can kick back and relax. Your job here is done. Let's say you stumbled on something really cool that's not a journal article that you want to cite. No problem. EndNote has got your back. So let's next talk about how to create a reference from scratch. First, you're going to click on the reference menu and select New Reference. The default type here now is going to be web page. You might see journal article if you're working with another version of EndNote. EndNote has a whole bunch of options to choose from. Podcasts, tweets, legal rulings, you name it. So choose the one that fits your item best. Next, you want to fill in all the blanks with the pertinent details. So I'm going to use an example here from the Center for Disease Control website. So for the author field, I'm going to type in Center for Disease Control. I'm going to add in the year 2024, type in a title. This is obviously not a real page on the CDC. Don't forget the URL since that's the place that's really critical to a website. And then hit save, and let's take a look at the summary. This is such a common issue. It happens to everyone. EndNote took the CDC and mixed it up with someone named CFD Control. This can happen a lot for organizations or people who have multiple last names. So here's a quick fix. Let's just add a comma right after the end of the organization's name, like Center for Disease Control. If this were a person, you would put their first names after that comma. So now let's save it again, and voila, the summary is showing the full name correctly in the author spot of our citation. So our final method that we're going to look at is bringing references in from a literature database. I'm going to show examples from 2 different databases, PubMed and Scopus. You'll notice every database you might use is going to work a little differently, but the basics should be more or less the same. Start by searching for and selecting the articles that you want to bring into your library. You can select just a few or all the results that you found. Either one works, EndNote doesn't care. For my example here, I'm going to start with using Scopus. Most of the databases will work like this one. You select the files you want to export. I'm going to click on Export. If you're given an option, choose the file type of EndNote, if you have it, or RIS. Those are the types that work best with EndNote, although most of them can be maneuvered to work in some way or another. Then we're going to open up that downloaded file, and it should automatically import into EndNote. Now I'm going to show you PubMed, since that one is a little bit, it's a special case. It works a little bit differently. As with Scopus, you're going to select the items you want to export. You want to click on Send To, and then you say whether you want to export just the selected items or all the results. And then you click on this Create File button. Go to your download folder and click to open the file. In most cases, those will automatically import into your EndNote library. Every so often, you will run into the case where it doesn't automatically open into EndNote. EndNote seems to have its bad days, just like everyone else. If that happens to you, you're going to follow kind of the same steps that we used with importing the PDF, except this time you're going to go to the File menu, click on Import, and then select File. And then you want to go to wherever your browser downloaded that file. This is really important here. You want to make sure that your import option matches your source. If it doesn't, don't freak out. Nothing bad's going to happen. Most likely what will happen is nothing, nothing at all. So if you have that happening and you're like, why isn't this working? You want to go back and make sure that this import option matches your file type. So that's easy for most databases. They've exported as an RIS and it'll just work. If you export from PubMed and you need to do this special kind of import, you will need to come in here and click on Other Filters and then do a search for PubMed. You'll find PubMed there, select that, and once you have that import option selected, it should work perfectly. If you're still having problems though, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We can try to help you figure out where the issue is. So now we've got a lot of records here in our library. It's not looking so empty anymore. Now it's a little bit more where we might be feeling a little overwhelmed with everything we've moved into our new house, right? Let's go through the process of making sure we don't have any duplicate. This is going to happen if you've had your library for a while and you've been maybe researching similar topics. It can also happen if you do like we did today and search for the same topic in multiple databases. You will end up with duplicate records. This can be a problem when you go to make citations. You don't want to have two records for the same article because then you could accidentally cite that same article using the different records and then it could really mess up your final document. You don't want that you're citing 5 different sources when you really were only citing 3. The solution to fix this is with this Find Duplicates tool. Just use that periodically, especially if you've brought in new records from a literature database. That's a great time to just do a find duplicate check and then go on your day. It should be fairly quick if you're doing it regularly. To find duplicates, first you want to make sure you're selecting all the files. I recommend starting in this All References group. That makes sure that you are checking everything you have for duplicates. You want to click on the library menu and select Find Duplicates. If there are duplicates, a window will pop up showing both records so you can compare them side by side. It will highlight any differences that it can find between the two records, and you can make edits from here as well. You want to select the one that you want to keep, or if they're not actually duplicates, click on Skip. If you don't have a preference, I recommend you keep the record that is showing on the left-hand side. It's the older one, it's the one you have had first, and so you may have already used it in a previous work or paper, and you might already have notes in it. So you just want to keep the one on the left. That's the one that, you've had longer. Anything that you identified as a duplicate when you finish this process can be found in the trash folder, so it's not gone forever. It'll be there if you discover that you made a mistake and you accidentally got rid of something that wasn't really a duplicate. You can go look for it there, click on it, and select Restore to Library. As long as it's in the trash folder, you won't accidentally cite it by mistake, but it'll be there if you find that you need it. Let's talk about how you can get references into your paper using Microsoft Word together with EndNote. Once EndNote is set up on your computer, you'll notice you now have an EndNote toolbar in Word. This toolbar will be your command center for citations, and while it has a lot of features, there are 3 key ones that we're going to be talking about today that I think you'll find you use most often. First up is the Insert Citation button/menu. This is the place where you can connect your EndNote citations to your Word document. Next, over here is the Citation Style selector. It comes preloaded with a few styles, but feel free to explore. There are over 7,000 styles that EndNote supports. Yes, over 7,000. So if you need a particular citation style, they probably have it. Lastly, we have the button to update your citations and bibliography. This is the button you'll use to sync any changes you've made in your EndNote library to your Word document. If your document is showing the unformatted code, so you're seeing squiggly lines around the citations, this is also what you can use to bring it back to the formal polished view. For Mac OS users, the toolbar is basically the same, but there are some slight differences. Pretty much, if you can't find something that you're trying to do, check this mini tools menu over here on the right. That's the place to find most of the other options that they have hidden from this version. So to create your citation, let's just walk through the steps. First, you want to choose the citation style you want to use. Put your cursor where the in-text citation should go. So if it needs a space, put it there. If it's right next to the word, you put it there. Hit this Insert Citation button and select Insert Citation. This is going to give you a search window that you can use to search through your library. You can use any word that's in that record, from the author's name to just a general keyword. Select the citations you want to use at this point in your document and click Insert. Like magic, your citation will appear in the document, styled perfectly, and your reference list will also materialize at the end of the document, wherever that is. And the best part is, EndNote takes care of the sorting for you, whether it's alphabetizing the authors by last name for a style like APA 7th, or following the order of citation for American Medical Association style. Either way, you don't need to worry. You can just focus on your research without sweating these small details. One tip to keep in mind to make sure your citations are accurate: always make edits to your citations in EndNote, not in Word. It might be tempting to tweak something very quickly in Word, but remember, EndNote is the boss when it comes to your references. Changes you make in Word might seem okay at first, but once EndNote syncs, it will override these edits with the data from your EndNote library. So to avoid any citation confusion, just stick to making any updates to citations in EndNote itself. That way, you make sure that your document reflects the most accurate, up-to-date information, and make sure that your research is credible and on point. Need to switch to a different citation style? Keep your eye out for subtle but critical differences between the styles in the placement in your document. For example, if you're changing from APA to AMA, you'll notice that the in-text citation is right inside the punctuation line. However, in AMA, it is a superscripted number that is just after the period. These small changes can have a big impact on the formatting of your document. So anytime you switch to a new citation style in EndNote, take a minute to scan your document and make sure that your citations are playing by the new rules for their new style. It's all about the details, and getting those right means your paper will be formatted to perfection. Finding full text with EndNote. So, are you ready to get the full text for all of your references? Here's a way that you can let EndNote do some of that heavy lifting for you. Start with the references in EndNote that you need to find full text for. Then you want to navigate to the References menu and click on Find Full Text. EndNote will spring into action, scouring open access sources for any available full text. And if you're connected to the USF campus network or logged in via the VPN, EndNote search powers will be supercharged, uncovering even more articles from USF Libraries resources. Here's where the magic happens. EndNote will neatly sort the search results into 3 categories for you. It's your lucky day. EndNote will attach the PDF directly to your reference for you. This next category is URL found, not quite giving you the PDF, but EndNote will find the URL to link you directly to the article and it's going to place that in the URL field of the record so that you can look it up for yourself. And then finally, not found. For these elusive articles, EndNote is going to mark these as not found so that you can do further research on your own. So what do you do about references that still need full text? Don't worry, USF Health Libraries to the rescue. Here's how you can make sure that you have every article you need. First, you're going to want to copy the DOI or Digital Object Identifier for the article that you're after. This will be in the DOI field in the EndNote record. You want to open up a browser to the USF Health Libraries page and click on this DOI PMID Finder. Paste your DOI into that finder and click search. It's that simple. And watch as the library catalog page unfurls before you. If the article is part of our collection, you'll be able to download that PDF right there and then. But what should you do if the article isn't in our collection? Fear not. You should see a button that will let you request the article from our interlibrary loan department. And the best part is, if you're logged in with your USF Net ID, the request form will be pre-filled as if by magic. Just hit submit and your message will be on its way. You should hear back from us soon, often faster than you might expect. You can streamline this part of the process even more, taking out the step of having to go through the library page, by installing the LibKey Nomad browser extension into your preferred browser. Anytime you come across a reference online, from PubMed to Google Scholar, you should see a link that looks like this to the USF Libraries catalog. Once you have that PDF on your computer, you can upload it to your record by clicking on the Attach button under the Summary or PDF tab. Collaboration and backup. In this section, we're going to explore the magic of collaboration and the wisdom of backing up your work. So let's get started. I'm going to be talking about two different methods today. The first is to create a compressed file. With this method, you're going to be capturing your library at a single moment in time. It packages your library into one file. This is ideal for sending via an email or uploading to a shared drive for collaborators. However, remember that this is just a snapshot, so any changes you make after compression will not be reflected in this file. It's perfect for static sharing or creating a backup that you can go back to if you need to for your own library. But if you're looking for dynamic updates, stay tuned for method 2. So as you start this process, you want to think about whether you want to share your entire library or a single group or group set, or even a single record. You also want to think about whether you want to include PDFs, the articles, or not. The choices you make here are going to shape your file. You want to navigate to the File menu and click on Compress Library. Here you'll be asked to make decisions about what you want to include and how you want to share this. But within a few clicks, your library will be transformed into a single portable format ready to be sent across the digital universe. The second method is to use EndNote's online syncing. With this method, your library will always stay up to date across all devices, making collaboration seamless. It also makes it very easy to see your references no matter where you are, or to recreate your library on a new device. Your shared groups will always stay in sync, so everyone will always be on the same page with a shared EndNote group automatically. There is a small catch: attachments. While your references will sync like clockwork and you can access your entire library at any time, the attachments you've added, such as PDFs or images, will not be shared with your colleagues through EndNote Online. This method is ideal for people who are prioritizing having those real-time updates and have another method for managing any kind of attachments that need to be shared. To use this method, you want to register for an EndNote account using your USF email address. Then you're going to go to the library menu and click on Sync. Once you have logged in with that account information that you set up, your library should stay as mobile as you are. So you've taken the first step on this path to mastering EndNote. Don't worry, you're not alone. If you need a helping hand at any point in this process, I have a couple of options to give you that you might find useful. First, take a look at the USF Health Libraries EndNote Guide. We have a lot of tips and tricks here for you that might just help answer your questions. The second is to set up an appointment with one of the librarians. You can schedule a one-on-one meeting with a librarian, and we can do a screen share and try to help you untangle any of the mysteries of EndNote that you might come across. Lastly, you can contact EndNote support directly. This is especially useful if you're having issues with the software. They are an excellent resource and your go-to troubleshooters. So what's next? Stay tuned for other classes and tutorials that the library will offer. We have several coming up soon that might help meet your needs. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Keep learning, keep exploring, and let EndNote and USF Health Libraries help your research shine.